I almost did. All right, so when I'm drawing my fib, so I'm only drawing a new fib level because this break of structure happened. And so I'm looking and I'm waiting for resistance. So I'm waiting for at least a 38.2 because that's the PRZ zone. 23.6s are not. So first I put my fib here. It doesn't come to the 23.6. I adjust it. I put my fib here because, you know, from bullish, because this is like a bullish impulse leg, I'm taking it from this support right here where it turns from bearish to bullish. I'm taking it right here to this wick where it turns from bullish to bearish. So just the high support, right? So when I'm there, I'm like, okay, cool. Is price going to retrace down to this, to at least 38.2? In this case, it did, right? So that's why my fib level is not like here, you know, and it's not here because, well, this is just tested. I mean, yeah, so no, this would be it. Yeah, this would be right here. Like we keep one fib the entire time until we get the break of this level. If this level doesn't break, we're still in this fib. If the 100% breaks, then we know that, you know, we're bearish now.
All right, and that makes sense. That makes sense because it's still the same. It's still the same. Even if you was to move it to the candle, it's pretty much still the same. I didn't notice that.
Yeah.
So like, if you can break down an entry that you took, and what did you look for?
Okay. So on GU?
Or whatever, GU, GJ, gold. I know you trade those. So whichever one that you know you took.
Okay. I like to go over GJ ones. So we could talk about pretty much like all of these. So let's say I'm starting here in this area, right? So the first thing I'd be looking for, oh no, this is my actual like clean chart. I want to save this for the week. Okay, yes, we can use this. All right, so I like to use my weekly levels first, find my strongest areas of support and resistance, because I don't really use zones like the 4 hours and the 6 hours anymore too much, because at the end of the day, price is going to do what it's going to do. And the best areas that it reacts to is like, you know, these levels. So let me put this because this is also included. Okay, so we have that. I'm going to drop down to the 4 hours so we can see the change of flow. All right, so the entire time, let's say we start from here, price is maintaining resistance. And what I'm looking at is just bullish bearish, right? So bullish bearish, okay, lower highs are being maintained, lower highs are being maintained, lower highs are being maintained, lower highs are being maintained until we have this now. We have this breakout. And notice how it did this on this weekly level. That's also seen on the monthly. That's why I like to have my zones there. It makes a lot of sense to me. That's where you get the really, really good moves from. So once we have these candles that, you know, bullish closes out, confirms that we did break this level, then that's when I would drop down to my 15-minute or my 30. I do like the 15-minute more. All right. And let's see when it's London session again. All right, so around this time, I remember I actually caught this move on demo, but I caught it. So around this time is when the market is opening. This is 3 o'clock. That's when I'm on the charts and I'm doing my analysis. And because I understand that the 4 hour just broke this level, the only thing I'll be looking for now is a higher low, right? Because higher lows maintain an uptrend, lower highs maintain a downtrend. So when I'm in an uptrend, in this case, I know the only thing that I'm looking for would be a break of minor resistance to continue to what we can find as the negative 27% level. Like we can find some sort of fib here. If I go point A, point B, so I'm taking it from this where price last found support here, right? And then I'm bringing it to this level. And I'm not bringing it to this level because, you know, at this time we didn't break. And at this time, we finally got to a PRZ level, right? So this is where I am. Once we hit 38.2, it is eligible to be considered a PRZ. But you got to know, sometimes, you know, price will do just 23.6s for days, you know, so, and if you're depending on price to pull back a significant amount, you just miss moves. So that's why I like to go based off of pure price action. So right now we understand we are in more of a bullish flow because we just had the break of resistance. The only thing we're looking for is on the smaller time frames, the same exact thing as a break of resistance. So in this case, I know that on the 5-minute, it was super clear because it was so quick. But that's what happens sometimes when you trade London Open, you get that really quick, fast move. So this is a higher low, and it kind of showed you that, you know, you're going to have some bullish momentum. It closed out bullish, bullish. This could have been your signal for entry, right? Why are we taking this trade? Because high lows are being maintained. And all I'm looking for is a break of resistance to continue to this. Let's see. So the take profit would be at the negative 27% zone on what would we call this 1 hour fib. So I'll measure this right here. All right, so that can be your first move. All right, see? And you see how higher lows are being maintained the entire time. Higher lows are being maintained. So when I get on the charts, the first thing I'm asking myself is, are high lows being maintained or are lower highs being maintained? Because like even in a situation like this, I'd be waiting for 15-minute or 30-minute supports to break. I can show you right now. So it'd be the same time, right? When I get on the charts at around 3, and because lower highs are being maintained, I'm only looking for a break of support to get in. So in this case, it was 3:30 here. We got this little break right here. But then again, we were already making lower lows and lower highs on the smaller time frame. So this wasn't like the beginning of the transition. Like, for example, if I was on the charts at 1 o'clock, I could be monitoring this. See, you have a little higher low right here. You have a higher low right here. And then you have higher lows right here. And then it's these candles that are confirming that break. So I would have taken it after, honestly, this, you know, even though it's supposed to be bearish, bearish, and not bearish, bullish, bearish, bullish, because technically this would be a tested type of situation. But understanding where I am, I would be fine with taking it.
Okay, so you look, so your overall thing is you're looking for something on the 4 hour, correct?
Well, you know, and it also depends because sometimes the clarity is not on the 4 hour and sometimes it could be on the 1 hour. But like in situations
So
where
you use one of the higher time frames. It's something
right.
you're looking for some type of break on the higher time frame first.
Right. So well, I'm looking to see what's being maintained on the higher time frames, like you know, like here, and then on the smaller time frames, I'm looking for a break of support or resistance, depends on, you know, what's flowing in that direction. That's like the 2 rules. Just step 1, step 2.
Okay. So long as it's maintaining, you're good with that. Whatever is maintaining on the higher time frame.
Yes.
And then you'll draw a fib on there.
I would draw the fib on there just to get my take profit level, right? So you see how I ended up getting this trade. The 4 hour lower highs are being maintained. So the only thing I was looking for was a break of support. Then we had that. So it could have been here, or even if I took the trade a little bit later, it could have been something like this. And then the take profit would just be, you know, a little bit shorter, but you know, it's still a really nice trade. And I can show you again, you have another example of this. Is this the same day? Oh, that's the same day. Yeah, it's the same day, but you know, this was another entry, a really nice entry actually. So, you know, we started making higher lows. So you know that was going to start a little pullback. Higher lows being maintained, higher lows being maintained. Let me drag this over. Then we see right here, we have the bearish candle is coming over the support line. And then we have this bearish candle to completely confirm it. After that, I'll be like, okay, cool. put my stop loss right above like the previous 15-minute like highs, lows, whatever I'm trying to trade. And then my take profit would be, you know, wherever the negative 27% is. Or sometimes if you just want to keep it really simple and just stick to a certain set, like 1 to 2s or 1 to 3s, so you can just be in and out of the trade in a day, maybe, that's also an option.
Okay.
Entry. So 3 o'clock, there's not really much of a transition, but I do see some supports that were being formed, and I saw a break. It's good enough for me. And I mean, when you take your entries, it's really, it could be subjective, whether you want to wait for 1 candle out of the zone or 2 candles, but it's just like, sometimes it could do bullish and bearish, close back in the range and continue the opposite way. That's why, you know, I mean, Q teaches you have to wait for 2 candles for it to be considered a break of support or break of resistance. Okay, so I'll take this off. But I'll go over another entry, maybe this one right here. So you see the whole entire time we're still maintaining higher lows. This is what I do now. Like I monitor, make sure that, you know, everything's being maintained. Go to the smaller time frames when there's volatility. All right. And okay, so 3 o'clock, it wasn't moving, like, you know, it wasn't happening the ideal move because it was too high anyways. But here you started to make lower highs. So price started to counter trend. So you could have been tracking your lower highs and waiting for a break. Lower highs formed, lower highs formed. You have this last lower high. You have bullish, bullish. That is your entry signal. And then your take profit would be the negative 27%. Oh, I like to do it on the 4-hour. All right, so this was point A for the first one. This was point B. This is going to be the new point A because this is where the last PRZ was formed. So this is my new point A. And what I'm looking to, let me see. Okay, so we don't even get a legitimate new higher high on the 4-hour. We could use a 1-hour, but it's just like, you know, you got to pick a time frame. So we have a legit break of this resistance, bullish, bullish, right? So it's then that I could put the new fib, but, you know, we're not there at that time. That's kind of like for this level. So until then, we're still operating in that same fib, but we can, you know, there we go. Negative 27%. You see how it wicked it right there? Right, so that would have been your next entry or your next trade. It's pretty nice. And then we go to the next day. Let's see how this plays out. So higher lows are still being maintained. My bias hasn't changed. There's no reason to be looking for sells. Right, so here we are at 3 o'clock. London opens. It immediately breaks this minor support. We got bearish, bearish. So I'm like, okay, cool. We're in a counter trend now. I'm gonna be tracking my lower highs, making sure everything's cool. So here it gets a little bit, to me, because I understand that we're already looking for a higher high and we're looking for this transition. Sometimes if I have to get down on the 5-minute and I understand that where I am like has enough confluence, I'll go ahead and go on the 5-minute, because this was the kind of trade. It's just like some people would and would not consider this as a resistance level. I personally would, just because it's still bearish bullish. It's a weak doji, but at the end of the day, I'm still like, look, like these candles are pretty strong. And this it's still some type of resistance. You have all this resistance. Wick closes back in the range. And so, yeah, I still consider that some sort of resistance. But after that, we get our bullish, bullish candles. This really nice, sexy candle. And then you can enter in after that. So after you get your confirmation candles. And then now we can use that new negative 27% because we had our official new higher high that was given to us by these candles. So it's point A, point B, and then negative 27%. Yeah. All right. Does that make sense so far?
Yes.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's just really repetitive, but then sometimes it gets something like this. So the last legit higher low was right here. Yeah. So I'm taking my 0% all the way up to this level because it's the last level that we actually created resistance at, right? And so technically I can come all the way down here and still be in a bullish fib structure. It could have done all of this and then gone right back up because it hasn't broken structure yet. Break of supports and break of structure, they're different things, but like it also depends on the market frequency and how it's moving. But for here, this is where I did take a loss. First, I did take a really nice trade here, this nice sell, and then I got on the live account and then was still thinking sells, especially because this is a weekly level. I was like, maybe it could go down another you know, thing, but it didn't. Let's see. Oh yeah, one of the other things that I learned last week was that, okay, so just keep in mind this is like the 61.8 area. But so I realized that there's a difference. Like the way I like to trade, I like to use a 15-minute like candles like this. This was my confirmation to sell. But the thing about this was it wasn't at a time where you had volume pumping into the markets. This was at like 1 o'clock in the day. It's very different. So if I go to the 30-minute time frame, I don't even see those supports. I did this mistake twice, and I'll show you again. So you see how this wasn't even a support on the 30-minute? This was that last support. This created a higher low. This created another higher low right here. The higher lows are maintained. But if you were aware that you still had to be looking for buys because of where you were, I actually had a nice confluence level. Let's see. Right here. And it tapped right in that level. Right? Tapped there, got that liquidity, and then it ran. And again, we could have looked for the same thing. Like, no, the 4-hour lower highs were not, the 4-hour lower highs were being maintained, but at the same time, we were in a bullish fib. And you were on a 61.8% level. So it's just like, on top of that, technically, you can't consider this a broken level because we need, again, bearish. And in this case, we only have bearish. And then at the time, this candle was still open volume. So you don't know where it was going to close. So even if the lower highs were going to be maintained, seeing this break of resistance right here would have given me the confidence to say, okay, maybe this could be it. It's a chance. If not this one, it could be the next one, right? So you have your confirmation. And then the next take profit would be like negative 27%, same thing again. Right. And then it was the next morning that I woke up and I was like, okay, cool. I know that we're back in the flow. Like since we broke this resistance here, I was like, all right, you know, price is ready to go. So we have these two, this candle and this candle. I was like, cool. I'm only going to be looking for buys because, you know, we're back in the flow. But okay, so the last level, the last high was here. I want to look for places where we actually have bullish. This is my legit break. So I go from point A, because that was the last PRZ level, to now point B. And the interesting thing about this is I know a lot of people and myself consider this a PRZ zone, and it is, but the thing is price, none of the bodies of price closed on 38.2. It barely touched it. And technically the rule that Q gives is that, you know, it has to be at least the body of the candle. That was not the case for this at all. So this actually might be the current fib. You know, that might be what we're working with right now. And just like how we had this, we had like a break of support. A break of support just means that, you know, if we're in a fib right in the moment, we're just going to come back to find a PRZ zone. I think that might be the same case with this. This actually gone up a lot since market open, and it had the break of minor resistance before market close. And we're also touching that trend line. So we have for the trend line now, we got this point A area and then this point B, and then a wick that too. So I think that this is the fib that we're currently working in. And this would be my take profit level. Yeah. And on top of that, it was on a weekly level. Like it did all this on a weekly level. And I have to remind myself that that means a lot. These are the only levels I have on my chart. So they got to mean something. And you see how it's intersecting really nicely with the trend line and everything. This is a really major area of confluence. But now I'm not saying that price won't continue bearish, because I don't know. But at the same time, this is not a broken level, because we still have open volume on this candle. So if this candle closes bearish, there's a good chance that this is what we'll be looking at in London. Maybe. But if it closes bullish, it's only tested. And so that means when London comes around, we should only be looking for buys. Either way, that's what that means. Does that make sense at all? Any clarity?
That makes a lot of sense.
Okay.
That makes a lot of sense. It makes some sense. It looks clear after it's explained. It's just sometimes I'm just now learning like the higher time frame. Like I used to be stuck on the lower, but now it's like stay on the higher for clarity and then drop down for the entries.
Exactly, 100%.
Yeah.
100%, because you know it gets messy on the smaller time frames, but if you have the higher time frames as guidance and you know what's being maintained, you can have the lower time frames do anything it wants and be crazy, but you know that when it snaps back into order, into alignment with whatever the bigger picture is, that's your entry. That's why you see I didn't use like much support or resistances at all, really. I'm just waiting for price action to show me, because what I used to do is like I would draw my 4-hour or my 6-hour levels, and I would enter trades based off of expectation and not off of confirmation. Like a price would get into my zone, I would see one engulfing candle, but that one engulfing candle, like if I look, the whole thing was still making lower highs. What, one engulfing is going to stop it? I had to learn. So I have to wait for price to actually break. It doesn't matter on what time frame, like just it's relative, the time frame, because you know, some months is different. Sometimes you're waiting on the 1 hour, sometimes you're waiting on the 15 minute, sometimes it's more clear on the 5 minute. It's just, that's where you got to be dynamic. But understanding that correlation, I think is pretty important. And I can go into how I caught these moves, and none of them included PRZ zones. You want me to go over these?
Yes, please.
All right. So, all right, to talk about this, I feel like I got to talk about this side. So let's say we just start from here. What I like to do is I ask myself, what's currently being maintained? Lower highs or higher lows? Because lower highs maintain a downtrend and a higher lows maintain an uptrend. So I'm you know, just marking off everything. This is only tested because you have bullish bearish. Right, and I think I would consider, because I see this very small resistance level here. At the same time, I still got to consider it though, because it's there. I can't ignore it just because I don't like it. It's small, but it's very present. So you have a bullish candle, a bearish candle. It's a level of resistance. Then on top of that, you have boom, boom. Like now I can't say that lower highs are being maintained anymore, because now that's not the case. And on top of that, if you go on the 1 hour time frame, you see that this is an actual like break of structure, but on the 1 hour. It's not a break of structure yet on the 4 hour. The break of structure comes on the 4 hour, just a little bit later. All right, so let's say we wanted to wait for the 4 hour confirmation. All right, so this is my last bullish bearish candle. That's my last resistance. I see bullish, bullish. All right, cool. I'm bullish now. So ever since then, you've only ever had higher lows being maintained, higher lows being maintained, higher lows being maintained. But in the process, you finally got, so this is a break of structure here, or I mean, all of these structures. So now it's more so like a, how would I put this? From the base to the new high. This is a new higher high. So I'm putting from here to here. Right, so it's at this point that I know, okay, I'm in a bullish fib right now. Even though price starts to maintain lower highs, I understand, where am I? I'm on a bullish fib. So if I go into the smaller time frames, I can even see that turnaround. Let's go, let's see our time. All right, this is 3 o'clock right here. It's 3 o'clock. So I understand that I'm in a bullish fib, and I'm also like on the 88.6 or 100% retracement level. On top of that, this is a weekly / monthly support zone. So it's a super strong level. But aside from all of that, the number one important thing is price breaking in my direction. So let's say lower highs being maintained, lower highs being maintained, lower highs being maintained, lower highs being maintained, lower highs being maintained. You get a little break. Bullish, bullish. That's my entry. That's my signal. Ooh. So after that, you already know where my take profit's gonna be. Here we go. To the negative 27%.
Okay, so you're going over the, okay, that makes sense.
Right? So that's just like how you would get that. That's just for that one. So we understand from here on out, higher lows are being maintained. Higher lows are being maintained. If I get on the charts, any of these days after, I understand that I'm looking for one thing and one thing only. So if I wanted to scale in, let's say I didn't get this entry right here.
Mm-hmm.
There's plenty of opportunities to get in. It doesn't matter that it's not on a PRZ zone. You know that higher lows are being maintained right now. So you understand that all you got to see is a break of resistance. Actually, this move happened a little bit before London. Bullish, bearish. And then you have, yeah, 245. She says she's not waiting for nobody. The train done left the station, and then we're running up. But if you were on the charts at this time, you could, I mean, and it really depends. People like to be conservative with their supports and resistances as to what it has to break before their confirmation. But you know, I just like to look at what it is. So this would have been the last little resistance level for me. So let's say I was looking at the charts at this time, which honestly I'd be up at 1. So knowing me, probably if I see the momentum, I'm probably going to get in the trade. Now for this, the take profit, when it comes to my system that I had to recently establish also, because this was confusing for me. I didn't understand if we're in the middle of an impulse leg and I don't have anywhere to put like my negative 27%, or it's not clear to me in the moment, where do I take my profits? And so I'm just saying just 1 to 2s or 1 to 3s. Don't got to make it hard. So you can just get 1 to 2s or 1 to 3s every day. All right, so that's one entry for the 22nd. And we got another entry. It's around here. Well, if we ignore the time for a second and we just look at price, we can see that we had even here. So we say lower highs formed. Well, first, realized we had support formed. All right, we broke this level. We had a little resistance form. And then we had a break, right? So sometimes you can wait for retracement. I personally don't really wait for retracements because I don't know if it's going to be one of those moves where it shoots up and flies away with no retracement or not. And I mean, you know, it's just, I like to enter in when I see my entry signals. I don't really wait for a pullback. So see, same exact concept in theory. Same exact concepts that I use all over here too. It's the same thing. Nothing's changed. So let's see another time. All right, so this is around London session time, right? So the time I would be like, yes, this is my trading time. 2 o'clock, 2:30. So high lows are still being maintained. So I'll just be looking for a break of resistance. And it happened over here, but sometimes you can wait for a fresh one. Like for example, I would consider something like, so we have support break here, then we get to monitor right here. Oh, it gets a little messy. Yo, it gets really messy. I'm not even gonna look at that right now. Let's just look at the time where price is actually at 3 o'clock. So all right, so for times when it looks like this, I'll just prefer to go to the 30-minute because maybe it has more clarity. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. Okay. So I would have seen this. Let's see when we would have had a break. Bullish. I would have gotten in. I would have lost this trade, but that's fine because risk to reward saves you every time. That's the only thing that saved me. Would have been like 1 to 3. Would have gotten stopped out. That'd have been cool because we know that there's another entry coming up. It doesn't mean that it's gonna drop down 1,000 pips. It just means that there's another entry coming up, right? So we had this candle right here, this candle right here. Resistance formed. Let's see this bullish candle, bullish. We got a break of that resistance right under the low. And then I will continue to take it up for maybe just a 1 to 2, 1 to 3. I do like 1 to 3s though. There you go. All right, let's see where we are on the 4 hour. Yeah, so we're right here. All right, so all these different opportunities, and none of them they're not at a PRZ zone, but you know, it still works because price is price. So even when we come to this level, the entire time, the 4 hour is just being tested. Bearish, bullish, just tested. I'm gonna go on this one. Okay, so 3 o'clock was here. This is a good one. 3 o'clock was here. I would definitely have taken a loss on this because I would have liked the way it looked, right? So we had this bullish. I would have been like, okay, cool. We enter here, got stopped out and be like, all right, cool. I'm always down for a second entry. Lower highs maintained. And then you have this bullish bearish candle right here. So small, but I would have definitely considered it because it counts. Like it counts. So after we got that, we have a bullish candle and we have a bullish candle. Is that a bullish candle? Oh.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Since you got stopped out and we see all those bears.
Bears?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Would it have made you think about changing your bias or no? Because
because I'm the only way I could change my bias is if I get 2 bearish 4 hour candle closes.
Okay, so 4 hour. Okay.
Right, because this is where my clarity is. If 15-minute break support, I can't say I'm bearish now because I still have so many buyers in the market. I got to see the only way I'm going to switch my bias is if I get those 2 bearish candle closes. And even then, I'm probably still going to be in a bearish fib. And I mean, in the bullish fib. So then it would be short term either way.
So you just got stopped out because it was just a pullback.
Yeah, it was just
Basically.
a pullback. Yeah, just a pullback. So I would have entered after I get my bullish. And you know, like you can have even like if this 4-hour candle closed strong here, if the following candle you're in it and it's open to volume and you got like 3 hours until the current candle closes, when you see your break of resistance, take it, because that means it's going to continue bullish. Like it's not bearish unless it's bearish, and we have 3 hours left. So, you know, once you see your sign, that's why like on GU, it does that all the time, all the time. Like it'll look bearish on the smaller time frames, even go past a support level, have a little break of resistance and then shoot up. And then people be like, what? No, that's how the wicks are made. So let's say 1, 2, 3. All right. And we see that higher lows are still being maintained. Even when we were here, right? I can even draw the support level. Right? Even when the wicks came underneath here, there's no need to worry, because you see the previous candle close right here, and you don't see it's not two bearish candles. So you know your bias is still bullish. High lows are being maintained. This higher low is made, and I'm going to zoom up into that one. All right, so come London, I already know in my mind I'm looking for buys. So that means since high lows are being maintained, I'm looking for resistance to break. See resistance right here. See resistance right. Ooh. See it right here. All right, so this is 3 o'clock. Just waiting for resistance to break. Here we go. Then I get what I'm looking for. Got all these candles. This is my my confirmation. Right here. Now this must be a weekly level. So yeah. All right, so even when I'm looking at these supports that are being formed, I'm asking myself, did higher low break? No, or did it maintain, right? Bearish candle, bullish candles create support. Let's drag that over. Even if I wanted to do a bearish candle, bullish candle, median of the wicks, I still see that we have bearish candle, bullish candle. So it's not broken, it's just tested. Even if I wanted to go, okay, but what about this support? What about this support that was created right here between this bearish candle and this bullish candle? You have a big old bearish candle, but you don't have a second bearish candle. So if you're floating in this right now and it's like 9 o'clock or that New York session, and you're saying, but what about this bearish candle? Look at the support it broke. Look at the support it broke. For it to be broken, you need 2 4-hour candles. Or even like, you know, just for support to be broken in general. So when I go down to the 15-minute, even though we might have been pretty low and it probably looked scary, just look to your left, bro, and understand where we are. So we have this level. And for the most part, it's kind of bullish, and maybe I would have taken a loss there, but I'm sure I would not have seen on the 30-minute. But then you have this second chance right here, where you have this last little resistance level. And then you could have entered whenever. It's really up to you. This would have been the safest entry right here. All right, let me see how the other one looked on the 30. Yeah, see on the 30-minute, you didn't see any of that. The last thing you saw was this resistance being created. And then if you were going based off the 30-minute because you were safer, then these would have been your entry confirmations. That right there. The entry would have been almost the same, you know? So, all right, so that, do you have clarity on that now a little bit more?
Yes, I do. Yes, thank you.
Of course. And I realize that when this happens, is usually because it's creating an impulse like on the higher time frame. So
Mhm.
that's why it moves like that. And then you have other situations where it's actually pulling back each and every single time, and you have nice opportunities for entry. Do you want me to discuss this big old transition period?
Yes, please.
All right, bet. So the entire time, you know, up until a certain point, high lows are being maintained. All right. Let me see if this level is in the weekly area from before. Right. So on the weekly time frame, you see how, you know, this was a wick area. We had all that liquidity, all that exhaustion there. So when price tapped back into this level, it did the same thing. Right. So to me, this was not a break of support because you already know why, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. It's not bearish, it's just bearish, bullish. Now on the 1 hour, it is a break of support, right? It is totally a break of support on the 1 hour. So this had me confused for a while, but I just have to understand that, you know, sometimes it'll break on the 1 hour. A lot of times it'll break on the 1 hour first before it does on the 4 hour, you know, because it's got to start somewhere. And then, all right, so we get this lower low. And on the 1 hour, I'm thinking, dang, if it comes back up here, it'll probably be sells. But at the same time, because the higher lows are still being maintained, I can only take buys. Like that's my rule. I have to take buys. So go on the 15-minute chart. And I'm waiting for one thing and one thing only, and that is my break of resistance, because in my head, we're still bullish. So we have this lower high. We have lower highs maintained. You can even consider this candle right here, the last resistance. And then you have all these candles that confirm that break of resistance. Okay. All right, so my 1 to 2, 1 to 3. I get it. Cool. Right. Oh, that was the previous one, wasn't it? Oh, that was the previous one. So now we come into this one. This is what I meant to be doing. This one right here. Looking at the smaller time frames here, because at that point we're still maintaining higher lows. But yeah, either way, this would have been the same exact thing. Like I just thought we were here. So lower highs formed, lower highs formed. I'll mark it off. Right, and this is 3 o'clock, literally 3 o'clock. Boom. So I'm just dragging it down, tracking my minor resistances, and waiting for an entry opportunity. So this one, depending on, you know, I probably would have gotten out after, well, 1, we're in a weekly level. 2, this created a lower high. Not only did it create a lower high, but it also broke this level right here.
Mhm.
And after we had these, I wouldn't want to be, if I was still in the buy trade, I wouldn't want to be in that buy trade anyhow, because I'm gonna be like, well, I don't really know how far we're gonna go. But prior to that, let's see, do we have, oh no, so we don't have the full break, legit break yet until this moment where you have a bearish. Now I'm like, okay, now I know 100% that support has been broken. And now we will begin the retracement of this impulse leg that we just had. So when support starts to break like that, just understand that if you had an impulse leg and you get a support of, a break of support, it's usually going to be the new higher high that's going to start the retracement. And we don't know how far that retracement is going to go. So that's why now we have to start monitoring it the same way we did this entire uptrend. What's being maintained, lower highs or higher lows? And when that stops, this is when it stopped. Then we know we're back in the flow. But for now, this area. So I think that, let's see, this candle started at 9 o'clock. So before this candle closed and it was still open volume, I think I would be liable for taking bias still. And on top of that, it's a nice weekly level. But aside from that, I would still have to be going with buys until we get that full bearish candle close. And what I have left, my buys after I saw that we actually did have 2 bearish candles, I would leave it until we have a minor break of support somewhere. Because now I know who's in control. So let's see. This is, oh no, are we there yet? Okay, yes. So 3 o'clock, we had this nice break of support right here. But I don't know, would I have been taking sells? Maybe if I considered this a legitimate break and I wanted to say, okay, maybe test it out on the 1 hour already at a really high. We're in a weekly level. And on the 1 hour, although it's not the 4 hour yet, I know it's in a good position. And we have the confirmation as we have a lower high and it broke support. So this could have been an opportunity, but you would have just had to have confidence with it, because you were technically taking a trade that the 4 hour didn't technically agree with yet until we had this full close of the 4 hour candles here. But if you wanted to take a buy, this was a really nice opportunity still. And that would want to be the last buy you take. Because now you see, oh, it's 11 o'clock. Yeah, I see that the past 4 hour candle just closed bearish. Like I'm going to want to look out for sells now. So now in my head, now that we had this official break of support, I'm no longer looking for the higher lows to be maintained because it already told me that stopped. As soon as this candle closed, all right, 4 hour, we're actually bearish. So now when price comes all the way up here, I understand that this is technically just like one big retracement. And on top of that, even though this looks scary, when I'm in this candle and this candle's open, I'm not going to say, oh, we broke resistance. It's like, no, you would need bullish. So in this candle, while it's still open, in your head, well, this is probably just going to be a wick entry and be a really, really nice trade for sells. So let me see. Right, so we're tracking it. Let's come, let's see the time, 3 o'clock. Oh, I know it gets a little bit more clear here if we do it on the 30-minute. All right, so I don't think the right entry that I would want to be looking for even comes until the following day. But I can just still like mark this off. So this is support formed. This is only tested on the 15-minute. I believe it did break. So that's why sometimes I like to see, well, can I even see this area on the 30-minute? Sometimes if not, I'll like wait. Here we go. Next set of supports. It's only tested. And then we have this. Oh, outside of the volume time until this time. So now I'm looking for breaks of support. And although it kind of we technically did break it here, but for all I know, this could be news. I could probably check that out. January 12th. You know what? I'm going to do it because that's usually the case. Oh, we had CPI news, but that was probably unrelated. Yeah. Actually, it wasn't. That was literally the time of CPI. It was US news, but I realized high volatility US news can also really affect, you know, pairs like this. So it's funny how that happens. That's why that price action was a little bit weird. But when you come onto the 15-minute now, this area gets really nice. And when it comes to news events and serious volatility, sometimes if price is moving fast, you can look for breaks on the 15-minute or even the 5. All right, so this area, so you see prices maintaining. So like you would still have in your mind, yeah, we broke this level. I see it to the left, but we didn't break it on the 4 hours. So I'm still in my sell bias. High lows being maintained, high lows being maintained. Bullish bearish. This is the last support that we make before we continue down. But I'm gonna look on the 5-minute because you can see it really clearly. Right. So even if you have this line based off of your 30-minute, you can still look at your 5-minute and see all this. I mean, even if you had this based on your 50-minute, because I know it was based, you could see it on the 15-minute, but not the 30-minute. So you can have this support line based on your 15-minute time frame. And then if price was moving with a lot of momentum, you can go on the 5-minute and look at this. So this would have been it. You could, just depends on how you like it, but I see, you know, there's a nice little support level right here, but to not be cheap, we can go here. And then this trades take profit would have been based off of the current bearish fib that we're now in, right? So it would have been from this high, point A, to, I'm basing it off of this, because that's where we had our first, you know, official lower low on the 4 hour that actually was considered a break of support. So this is why I'm putting my fibs there. And then my negative 27% was right. Do you see how it wicked it?
Yes.
Beep, just like that. Yeah. So that's the negative 27% for that. Let's go. Let's see how the next day looks. So this was January 12th, go to January 13th. All right, same time. All right, higher lows being created. High lows being maintained. High lows being maintained. Oh, I remember I got this one. Oh, it's nice. Right, so we have our last support was formed right here. Again, I could even probably look onto the 5-minute and see, do I have some like really nice momentum filled thick candles that are closing over this support level? And you can see it here. You have 2 candles right here. So after that happens, you already know I'm in a bearish fib. This may not be from the initial PRZ level, but it is going to the same place, the negative 27%. Or you can just do a simple 1 to 3 or 1 to 2. It's really up to you. Yeah, so here we are right here. Now, if you wanted to carry it to just 1 to 2, 1 to 3, maybe just next to this weekly support, that's even an option. Or you wanted to just take it based off of, you know, this support that you see to the left. There's plenty of options. But aside from that, let's continue on to the next entry opportunity. And these could be considered scalings too. Like if you still had your entry from up here, you would be well within your rights to continue taking trades here, you know, because look, it's just making lower highs and it's not even interfering with each other.
Okay.
All right, so we go to the next. All right, so this is the next time we have some volume. This is 3 o'clock. All right, so I see a support here, so I'm drawing it so I can track it. And I see support here, and then this is when it breaks. Bearish, bearish. All right, so you can come here. And if you wanted to exit after you see a break of resistance because you don't know how far back it's going to retrace, you could do that. But I mean, I probably would not have. I probably just take the L and then wait for, you know, the next day. I don't know if I would let it hit my stop loss. So see, the next day is here. Let's see. And this is the last 4 hour lower high that was being maintained is right here. But on the 4 hour, again, we didn't break it yet. We might be a little bit over it, but as long as we do not have two bullish candles in this case, printing over this, I actually kind of did. Yeah, I mean, I consider it here, lower highs, lower highs. Yeah, this is kind of a break. This is a break. Technically it is. But after this bearish candle, and then you see these lower highs re-maintaining it at the same time.
Mhm.
And on top of that, you're still like, you just made a new lower low. Actually, that wouldn't be considered. I would still say that we're still in this 1 fib. Because for it to be a lower low, again, with the same what you know, what allows something to be a legitimate break of support? It's 2 bearish candles. This is just bearish, and this goes right back to being bullish. So I would say, let's see, we're waiting to break this level here. This would be the next point, the next place I put my, right? So now I'm going from here, the last PRZ level, to here, right? So even though this breaks a little bit, right? I'm not, even if I was like, okay, cool, let me take some buys, I wouldn't be thinking that they're going to be buys for the long term because I'm in this bearish fib. So I'll be like, okay, cool, we made 2 bullish candles above this. It could possibly go to the 61.8, which that's exactly what it did. It could possibly go to the 78.6. All I know is that when I see my break of support, I'm going to get in, and this is going to be my next take profit, the negative 27%.
That's the first thing you do is go to the kitchen. You don't say hi.
All right, so 3 o'clock. So after this closes, I would have seen the 4 hour do bullish. So I would have been a little bit more wary. If you wanted to change your bias, then you definitely could because of what you saw in the 4 hour, but understand it's short term. Like don't marry that trade. So if you really wanted to go with that, definitely could. It gave you bullish right here. All the while, you got to understand this is only short term. This is only short term. This is only short term. The highest it went, it gave you a 1 to 2, which was decent for a counter trend trade. Because those are dangerous. Once it passes, once a counter trend passes 38.2 and you're still trading into like 50s and 61.8s, depending on how like big the fib is, it can get pretty dangerous, which is what I messed up on last week on GJ. All right. So we have this last support. Hold on, where is? Yeah. High lows maintained. We got these 2 bearish candles. Then when I come here, I'm assuming that this must be a 100% retracement of what just happened. So if I wanted to enter in after this bearish engulfing, I could do that. Okay, that's sick. That risk to reward was sickening. That was really good. That was pretty good. You have any more questions so far?
No, I don't. I think it's more likely just with me is flipping through and getting familiar with what I see. Like I can notice the maintain the higher highs or the higher low, that part is just more of just being able to see it play out, if that makes sense. Like I see it after the fact,
Mhm.
and then the entry will be already gone.
I feel you. But so do you think that with this understanding, you know exactly when to get in?
Yes, yes.
Facts.
Now, do you only, because I see people went to 3 o'clock, so you only trade London?
I look at the market starting at 3 because I'm like up at 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. That's just my existence now.
Yeah, me
But
too.
at 3 o'clock, I understand that that's when London session opens. Just like at 8 a.m., New York session opens, 8, 9 o'clock a.m. You want to trade when volume is just pouring into the market. It gives you an advantage.
Mhm.
It gives you
Okay, so what did you notice different about gold? Because I see you trade gold now, but before you used to stay away from gold.
Yeah, we became best friends. We're besties. Honestly, it's the same exact thing that I'm telling you. I can go ahead and do some markups on here. I can show you how I got my entries all of last week. So my current fib on gold on the 4-hour would be this, right? Because I understand that. I mean, I remember when we were over here, this was a higher high to me, right? So the whole entire time I'm still waiting for that, a higher high to continue. So we got this break here. I'm like, okay, cool. Point A to point B. We got a 38.2. Nice. I'm adjusting at point A to point B. Okay, we got an 88.6. Nice. Point A to point B. I see we make a lower high. It doesn't really matter because I understand we're still in this fib. Didn't go anywhere. We're still in this fib. So I understand that when I see my 4-hour actually break, and I love it when they come to the 100% zones, bro. Because then it gives me such an advantage. I get really, really, I'm not gonna like enter in from the 4-hour, but when I see this, hold on, put my, like, this is just an example from back then. So because I'm in this fib and I see the lower highs are, I see lower highs that happen, I'm like, well, great, because as soon as you break this lower high, you're going to pop back into alignment with the current fib that you're already in. So once I'm here, let's see, I trade gold only after 8 o'clock. All right. 15-minute time frame. So at this point, I'm like, cool, we're not in lower highs version anymore. Like I see the 4-hour, it actually broke this resistance level. So I'm safe to take some buys as soon as I see what I need to see on the smaller time frames. So this is 6:30, 7:30. This is 8 o'clock now. Now 8 o'clock, I see that lower highs are being maintained. Lower highs are being maintained. This is us now at 8. Now I can take entries, but I have to see something. I have to see my resistance break. And I'll consider this a resistance too, because I have my bullish candle and I have my bearish candle. Now from here, I'm just waiting for 2 bullish candles, one after the other. I see that in this. Or you could say in this. It's really up to you. Some people wouldn't like to consider this because of how much sellers or buyers exhaustion it had. So you can say, okay, I enter after this because you see it was a resistance. No, right? Like the same level, even in that same liquidity zone. So
Okay, wait. I'm missing something. Why did you pick that spot and not the spot right up here?
Which spot now?
Let me see. Okay, why did you pick this spot instead of this spot? Like,
because so the whole entire time I'm monitoring it. Like, again, it's really up to you. But how I would trade it, like even you see how this is, I consider it resistance. It's weak. It's probably not the strongest, but it's still there and it still means something. So it's the same exact thing when I come here. I'm not gonna ignore
Oh,
it because
okay,
it's so
okay, okay.
tiny.
Now I didn't see. Okay, okay, I see
Yeah.
that one. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It'd be the details. When you can catch those details, you have
Uh-huh.
an advantage. Right. So once price breaks above this, I'm like, okay, bullish, bearish, it's only tested. Bullish, bearish, bearish, it's only tested. Bullish, bullish, probably would be in. But if I wanted to wait for an even better confirmation, like, you know, like you said here, I could do that too. You know, it's just choice. So these right here would have been my confirmation candles to say, okay, cool. Now on the smaller time frame, we've aligned with the 4 hour because we understand that the 4 hour now is creating higher highs, or creating higher highs. And now this is the higher low that it's making. And you understand that this is a 100% zone of a big old bullish fib. So, you know, if you really understood where you were in that time, that would have been powerful. So yeah, the take profit could have been very, very far and it would have never looked back. See, that would have been it. But then, okay, what if you didn't catch that entry? Then that would be fine. Because you would understand that if you came back to the markets the next day, look at all these higher highs. Like, look at all, look, resistance is being broken. You already know that you're going to expect a higher low to form. See, you have your higher lows right here. This is a higher low right here. So higher lows, but these are the nice higher lows that formed after the official break. So then come 8 o'clock the next day, just like how we did on GJ the entire time. What is being maintained in the moment? 7:30, 8 o'clock. All right. So I see this level. Technically, you just be waiting for it to break. This was probably a day where it had news, and that's why it popped like that. Again, even if you wanted to just wait for bullish, it's totally up to you how you would want to enter that. Sometimes, no, most times I'm really good at waiting for candles to close because I don't want to die anymore. So I just do that. Even if you want to get really saucy with it, you still have so much clarity on this time frame. There's a lot of clarity on the 5-minute right now. And if I see something like this, if it's more clear on the 5-minute than it is on the 15-minute, bro, I'm gonna take the 5-minute.
Oh wow.
Because it's clear and I know what I'm looking for. It's the same thing. All right. Here we go. Actually, so this was the last lower high that it made before we had this. Technically, still, this would have been the official break, but I would have seen at the same time all these higher lows that are being maintained. So I could have entered in off of that too. You know, again, choice. There's options, but it's just like if you want to just be really, really simple with it, just wait for your resistance to break, and you don't have to have any stress. You don't have to think. Just ask yourself what's being maintained. See the lower highs or higher lows, and then you know what to wait for. All right, so that's that. So you could have had an entry like this, and then the following day you could have had a scaling entry here with the same take profit if you wanted to hold it that long. You come to the next day. Uh, 8 o'clock. I already see higher lows are already being maintained when, let's see, when price opens. Higher lows, higher lows. So I could have entered based off of this, you know, but I like to get in at like something fresh that just did the transition. You know how you can see like the lower highs, just get really saucy with it. Lower highs, 2 bullish candles, but this is outside of my time. So I really wouldn't be taking this trade. So I could have either taken it based off of like the fact that we were already making higher lows, which I don't like if it doesn't break first, which is why I would have preferred something like you know, waiting for support to form. There's some breaks, you know, lower highs are being maintained. I'm going on 30 minutes. I think I'll have more clarity. Right, because sometimes the 30-minute has more clarity, sometimes the 5-minute has more clarity, it just depends. So you have these lower highs. That's okay. And then this bullish, bearish, bullish, bearish, bullish, bearish, bullish, bullish. But you could have taken that, you could have died, but it's all right. Actually, no, we wouldn't even be trading at this time. What are we talking about? This is way past time. Yeah, this is way past the time. So here we go. This is back into 8 o'clock New York session. So this is where we would be. So, well, first things first, you want to make sure that you're still maintaining higher lows. Oh yeah, there we go. So you have higher lows on the 4-hour being maintained. I would have considered this right here. Bearish, bullish. I would have said, okay, cool. We have 2 bearish candles underneath here, right? So there's a pretty high chance that the next move can be a bearish push, and I'll actually have the opportunity to do point A to point B. This is what I'm looking at, right? Because this is like the support level, the bearish wick of the support level, and my take profit would be here. Now this is risky, but this is just me going based off of what price is telling me. So after we have this break right here, whenever we are, looks like we'd have to wait for this. Yeah. So we have the break, and then now we're monitoring the higher lows. Monitoring the higher lows. Monitoring the higher lows. And we see what we need to see. You can probably see it on the 15-minute, nice. Yeah. All right, so we see the confirmation here. Position. But mind you, we do this understanding that it's very short term, understanding that our current fib is still bullish, that this is just a higher high, and when price breaks support on the 4-hour like that, it's just going to find some point in structure. That's all it's doing, but we don't marry these counter trend trades like this, right? So it hits it. So now, so mind you, we're still in this bullish fib, point A, point B, nothing has changed. So we're still overall waiting to go back bullish. And what we would be waiting to see for us to say it is we'd be looking for a 4-hour break resistance. That happened right here. This is where we had our take profit from that sell trade based off of this point A to point B. This is where our take profit was. All right. And so meanwhile, we understand at the same time, okay, it was maintaining lower highs, but we know that it's not going to do that forever because overall we're pretty bullish. So after you see these, both of these candles close actually, then you know you're ready. If there was even an entry at this time, it was really, this would have to probably been like a 5-minute entry, because probably would have missed this. Yeah, lower highs would have been still maintained on the 4 hours, so it wouldn't have even been smart to even try to take buys based on some smaller time frame. Like, no, you have to wait for the 4 hours to break back again. You don't want to like over anticipate like that. Let's see. Yeah, this is 8 o'clock right here. And you see how higher lows are being maintained and higher lows are being maintained. Now, like, what if I were to treat this like I was seeing this on the 4 hour? Imagine this was on the 4 hour, and I would have to go onto the smaller time frames for clarity. I really hope it lets me go on the 1 minute. Please let me go on the 1 minute here. Okay. So I think it was right here. Now let's see if we can use that same concept without dying. Let's see. Okay, so this is 8 o'clock. This is when I can trade. Right here, I see that the 15 minutes already maintaining higher lows, so I don't really have to worry about a break, right now. And plus, I'm doing this because I understand we have so much momentum on the 4-hour. We just broke out of this, counter trend, right, to continue bullish. So I'm still like, all right, cool. We have bearish, right? So I see this is like the last, right here is where I'm considering the last resistance level before we had these two. If you really wanted to get saucy with it, it's an option. Just like the time frames, the markets are fractal. So what happens on the higher time frames, they happen on the smallest time frame too. Does that make sense? Yeah. You have any questions about that?
No, not at all.
Okay.
I don't too much like gold yet, so no. I watch it, I mark it up, but I don't fool with it.
I feel you. But
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same concept that I use on GJ. I'm asking myself, what's being maintained right now? Like over here, all of last week, that's all I was asking myself, because I understood that we had just broken out of this high. So I'm like, okay, we're making higher highs. What do I expect? Higher lows to be formed. And if higher lows are being maintained, I'm just looking for a break of resistance. That's all.
Well,
After
if
8
you
o'clock.
go back to the 4-hour, just where you
Mhm.
were just at, and you said what's being maintained, it looks like it's a mixture right there.
Where here?
Up a little more because you're going
Here?
candle. Oh, hold on. So it's like you always say what's being maintained. Why is it? Yeah, you say what's being maintained. So we got this,
Mhm.
this, and then it comes down. It's going down.
Right. But remember the same thing I said about over here. When you have like what was price trying to do when it actually started to break the support? It was just going to find a PRZ level.
Oh, okay.
And over here, the last point A we had was right here. And if I put my fib, you see where it went? I didn't catch this though. I didn't catch this.
Okay.
38.2 on the dot. And it had the transition zone and everything. It was perfect. It really was.
So the first part where you can draw your point B, which I've seen that it only went to 23.6, but when it was when it first gave you a point B to draw your fib, do you take the counter trend to see where it's going to go, or you wait to see where it's going to go?
You mean this right here?
I think it was before that one.
A counter trend let's see.
Oh, okay, draw your fib. Draw the fib, how you just drew the fib. Okay, so you went to this wick. So I'm gonna talk about if you would have went here, if you would have just drew it. Oh my gosh. You would have just drew the fib here.
Right. If I drew the fib here, I would have still had to adjust it because it only went to, it didn't like, look.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah. So I have to keep adjusting it until it actually reaches a PRZ level and then breaks
So,
in. And I know that's
so before it reaches the PRZ level and you just have the fib there, because that's where price at, are you just waiting until it give you a PRZ level, or are you trying to trade it?
No, that's because I can take these trades. I understand that it's an impulse leg, and I also understand, I don't know when the pullback is coming, but I understand that right now the high lows are maintaining. So I ain't got nothing to worry about, but if it stops, I can, be like hands off, wait for it to do what it do, go to a PRZ level, or you take that little minor counter trend. But like, It's just like saying with GJ now, like, what if I just waited for a fib the whole time? Like I couldn't. Sometimes you just have to understand what is the flow right now. And the confirmation of that flow continuing is the break of resistance that you see on the smaller time frames. If that break of resistance that you see on the smaller time frames didn't happen, then it probably wouldn't continue. But if you see it, then just take the trade.
Okay. All right. That makes sense.
Yeah. You saw that the analysis that I put in Discord of gold when it was just here, and I put that it was like this, literally. Do you see this analysis?
Yes, I did see it. And it played around so long. I guess that's where the patience has to come in.
Yeah, or you can just track it. Because if you're tracking it, if you were tracking it from when it was falling, lower highs, lower highs,
And
lower
that's where you
highs.
put your
Look, you had
bank
to
it.
break.
Yeah.
Now you know. Now you know. The only thing, because I knew what I was waiting for. That's why I put that analysis. This is still the fib that we're operating in. When we come to the 100%, it's either going to break all of structure or it's going to maintain. And if it's going to maintain, negative 27% is my next target. That's why it wasn't a hard trade for me to figure out, especially after we had what I needed to see, which was the discontinuation of these lower highs that confirmed itself right here. And that's when you said, that's when price dipped into here, bro. Me and my friend, I told her to buy gold. She was right next to me. We're in the gym together. And I was like, yo, gold right now. Look at gold. And she's like, damn, should I buy it? And I was like, yes, buy it. And don't let it go until like the following week. Don't let it go until I tell you so. But she exited. She exited pretty fast.
And
because
I think that's
the weekends were
where
closing.
I'm at. Like I have to deal with a lot of psychology on it too, where I'm feeling, because it's like when I'm in blue, I hurry up and get out. But if I'm in drawdown, like I have a problem with holding my losses till they turn into a win. Like that is a bad habit for me. But I have noticed too, if I just place my stop loss and my take profit and just get off, I'm fine. But if I watch it, it's like I will move my stop loss if I see it's about to get hit. Like it's really bad.
That's scary. That's the scariest thing. Because then if you do that long term, like you got to think in terms of sets. Like if I do this and it's set of 10, how much will I be messing up my profit? Because you can only do that so many times. Like if you were doing funded programs, you couldn't do that because you got a limit to how much you can use. So you have to have your predetermined stop loss and just be okay with that. And on top of that, if it gets scary, just ask yourself on the higher time frames, what is currently being maintained? You know, if the 15-minute starts breaking support, but you're already up, but the 4-hour higher lows are still being maintained, don't look at it. Go on about your day because it's going to break. It's going to continue. Got any other questions for me?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think so. I did have something, but she just made me lose my train of thought. Yeah, so I guess, but it's just working with the 4-hour because I was on smaller time frames, but I'm learning to, maintain.
Which time frame were you on?
Well, I was actually doing an analysis on a 1-hour and pretty much staying on a 15-minute, never the 4-hour. And it really just changed so quick where it makes me second guess my bias. But if I could see what's maintaining on the higher time frame,
Yeah, that's a trick.
I'm working, I'm understanding it a little better.
Yeah, that's a trick.
Because even on a 15-minute, it's like, okay, I'm jumping in 10, 15 pips. Is it really? I don't feel like that's trading. I'm like, I done spent tens of thousands of dollars to be, you know what I'm saying? It's like easy to hit sell or buy and catch 15 pips. That's just something, you know what I'm saying? Just one candle could give you that. So I'm
Right.
like, no, I gotta be. It has to be more to it than this. This is not it. That's how else
Right.
I'm
And
like, this
see,
is not it.
none of these trades were one-to-ones. They were
Mhm.
all healthy trades.
Yeah, exactly.
And when you do that on a set of 10, your losses will always be made up for it. And that's when it's like, if you have your trades and they have good risk to rewards, but you're moving stop losses or exiting early, you're messing the entire system up. You can't be profitable like how you want to if you don't let your risk to rewards do the job and your risk management, because
Now,
those two right there, then you'll be all right. What were you saying? Go look at go.
You hear me?
No, you were cutting off.
Oh, I said, did you start off doing the 1-to-1 trades, or were you always like aiming 1-to-3 or 1-to-2?
I haven't done one-to-ones and been comfortable with that ever since like 2 years ago when I was trading with Wicks Don't Lie or Roger Banks, because he was a one-to-one type of guy. You know, people tend to go off of whatever they learn, whatever their mentor is doing. But I realized I couldn't even win that much to be doing one-to-ones and being profitable. Like, no, I needed risk to reward to save me, because I'm not always right. Like, your win rate got to be good with one-to-ones. Otherwise, if it's 50%, you're going to get frustrated, because everything you take, you're just going to get it lost right back.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's not cute.
Exactly. So hype. So do you catch a setup every day?
Yes, I do. I do find a setup every day.
Is it with each pair, or you fluctuate like, okay?
Honestly, I do see, I mean, they might not always work out, but again, I'm just looking, hey, what's being maintained right now? Higher lows are being maintained on the 4-hour. Okay, cool. I'm going to go on the 15-minute and I'm just going to wait for resistance to break. And I can do that with all pairs, and I can do that with gold, and I do that with gold. That's why I get along with gold, because I understand it's more simpler than I, make it out to be before.
Now, do you have are you having a pip goal, or you just going by setups?
By setups, I was usually always trying to aim for a negative 27%, but then I realized when it comes to funded programs, it's not always the wisest thing to try to go for home runs every time. Sometimes you just got to take your 1-to-2s, 1-to-3s, build cushion, and then you can do that, what you do. But either way, the scale and entries are just, I mean, yeah, there really is a setup every day. Like, even when I showed you breaking it down.
So when you take your setup every day, are you watching your trade? Are you placing it and you're closing your MT4? Like, how are you?
I know
how are you?
My MT4 stays open. I mean, I have other things to do, but I love trading. 1, 2, I don't really do anything right now. So if I'm not actively trading, I'm probably studying or back testing or reading or watching Netflix, something.
Okay, now boom, I'm glad you said this, because this was something I was thinking about too. Okay, so because I'm not doing anything either. So here's the thing. They say don't basically get your emotions out the market, correct? But how do you take your emotions out the market if there's something that they're saying eat, sleep, and live the charts? You get what I'm saying? To get it, like it's like contradict, like, because if this is what you're going to do, you're going to have emotions. You get what I'm saying?
Right. It's just, but if you're managing your risk and you're following your system, I feel like the emotions come when you become uncertain. And so if you don't have faith in your system and you don't have a solid system, of course it's going to be emotional. It's because it's uncertain. You don't know. So yes, you're going to sweat a little bit because it's scary. But even if you don't have a solid system, if you're risking a certain amount per each trade and you don't move your stop loss, at least, and if you have at least a 1-to-2 for every trade, let the numbers do the work and you will end up profitable. But you have to let the numbers play out for themselves. You can't be messing with the trades when you're up if it's a 1-to-1 and not a 1-to-2 or 1-to-3 like you originally planned. You have to let it play out. And just understand that you can get emotional and close out, but you're messing up the system. And so you're just going to stay break even or in loss.
Okay, I got it. And you said you trade every day?
Yeah, because I do
Every
via setup every day.
Now, do you take profit every day? Or you just let the trade
No,
run?
I realize my winners usually they go on for more than a day. Like my winners will probably take profit the following day, maybe the day after that. So
So you're never like capping off. You're just letting it play. You're not capping it off, like moving your stop loss and profit.
no, I did that last week for one trade, but that was because it was in a weekly resistance, and I'm glad I did it. But for the most part, no, I don't mess with my stops like that. I just let it play out.
Now, let me
I
ask you this.
typically
With your funded account, do you also trade a regular account?
No,
So
no.
you basically just working on a funded account. You don't have like a little 100, 200, whatever account that you
No,
trade.
because man, listen,
No.
those 100, 200 accounts, when I'm trading a funded account and I'm seeing the money I'm making, it's only making my psychology weird with the smaller account. So I'm like, I do better on funded accounts because it's better for my psychology seeing the numbers. But when I'm on a small account, I'm just like, I'm not satisfied. So I'm gonna overtrade or over leverage or something dumb. But it's something I would never do on a funded account because I'm satisfied with what I'm seeing. That makes sense.
But then if you lose it, like, I don't understand. And
Which I do. It happens.
but then you don't have no profit for the month. That's all I'm saying. It's like,
But you just start over. I understand that, but it's just like, all right, try again.
so, okay, every time you start over, so basically you're waiting a month for profit again.
Pretty much.
And you're
Until
okay
like,
with that.
yeah. I mean, it's just part of the game until you get it right.
Oh, okay. Because I want to get funded, but I don't like the drawdown thingy. It just doesn't sit well with me. I have tried it twice. And the drawdown got me out each time. That was the only thing.
Well, what do you mean drawdown? The max daily loss or the max
Yes.
loss overall?
The max daily loss.
That's where so I had a problem with that, and I never had a problem with that before because usually I was only ever trading GJ, but now I'm trading GJ and gold. And with the whole, I didn't realize I was trading within the same set of day type situation that made me lose my funding account. That's what happened. But and I had really good advice from a friend that told me, yo, if you're gonna be trading more than one pair, use 1%. And I was like, bro, that makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense. So 1% per each trade, go for your 1 to 2s, 1 to 3s. You'll hit that in like a week, 2 weeks. So
I never thought about that 1%.
oh yeah, no. And I only was staying with 2%. That's something that was ingrained in my head when I started trading back in IML days in like 2018. So it's not even like I never even thought to rethink it. I just had to have someone tell me to consider it. And I was like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. 1% for each trade. And then there's a very, very low chance that I will ever hit the daily loss.
So you don't have no desire on building an account because you can I know you said something about the over leverage or over thing. You have no desire to do that and build your account to the number that you want it to be.
I mean, I could, but I would want to start off with like a grand or something, which is not the type of money I have right now. That's why I do funded accounts. It makes more sense to me.
But with the funded accounts, the profit, take the grand and build the account.
What?
The funded account, your profit, take the grand and then build the account.
Yeah, yeah, after the payout, of course.
Yeah,
most definitely. But that's after the fact, though.
But yeah, okay, all right, that makes sense. Yeah, because I was wondering, like, it's just too much to flip back and forth to trade two accounts. You know what I'm saying? To put the account number in and go again. It's like,
oh no, but you don't have to switch like that. You make it sound scary. No, it's not that hard. It's just literally like on MT4, just tap the next profile and enter your trade in the same way with whatever lot size is.
Oh, okay. See, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it doesn't get complicated. It's just like you don't have to log out or re-sign in with passwords. No, like on MT4, if you have an account, if you can have several accounts, and you don't have to like do all that hassle. It's just go log into the other one, just tapping it. So
yeah, I guess so. I guess everyone's different. Like for me, I don't have no connection with demo. I do dumb stuff with demo.
I take demos so seriously as if it was my actual money.
I literally like just keep putting $100 in for the consistent and do a mini micro lot, like just to build myself up. Like I have no demo. I just don't. I don't know.
I take it seriously because I understand it's about refining my skill. If I do demo and take it seriously over the course of 6 months, a year, and I'm actually learning and actually getting better, once I go and try to get funded or go on live, it's not like, oh, I wasn't risking real money this entire time, so like, ooh, it feels different. It's like, no, I know exactly what I'm doing. I know exactly what I'm looking for, and when I'm looking for it, because I've been practicing as if it was real. You just got to take it seriously.
and that's what back.
It's not it can't be about the money. Make it about the skill, and you'll take demo seriously.
And that's how I am with the back testing. I'm like, I can't get with it because after the setup, I'm like, okay, now what to do? Do I look for another setup? Isn't that creating a over trading habit for myself? Or do I just go back to the?
I would say if I find one trade on GJ and I take that and in one day, and I find another trade on gold and I take it in one day, those are my things for the day. Like, I'm not going to try to find a different setup within the same day. Never. I never do that. It's always, okay, I find this one setup today. Cool, I'm good. I either take it or I don't, and then I wait for the next day. But I never take two different setups unless the original one was a loss and it's a re-entry that I'm getting in on. Aside from that, I'm not like totally changing my bias or anything. But yeah, I'm not looking for another setup after my thing hits TP if it's within the same day I just took that trade. Nah.
Okay, so that makes sense. And then like I said, I was on a 15-minute anyway, so TP takes no time to hit. So it's like, okay, so that makes sense. That makes sense. Okay, I guess I got my questions answered. I don't have any other questions. Yeah.
I hope that provided some more clarity on the markets.
Yeah, it did.
As you can see, it's very different from the last time we did a webinar. I didn't even use a zone. And I was all about zones before. So, and
the quarter points and the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 thingy that you were doing. I can't think what it's called, but you know what I'm talking about. Well, I don't even know
like the psychological levels, right?
No, the 5, the like the arrows, but it was 5. 1,
oh my God, not Elliott wave. Oh no.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like seeing a picture of you in middle school and you're like, I can't believe I was ever that person.
Yeah,
it was same embarrassment.
Yeah, it was the 5 thing you were showing me. I'm like, I don't get this one. I don't know. But yeah,
does this one make more sense though? Because it's based off purely what
it's based off of structure. Yeah, it's based off of structure. Actually, I was just had one of the templates. You still use the templates that you have?
I have a whole bunch of things on my wall, but I don't know which template I last.
What is this? What does this say? Goal 20 pips a day. Anything more is a blessing. Date strategy. Confluence ABCD. Yeah, you don't remember that?
I've grown so much since then.
I guess it was your yeah. Let the runner not close. Yeah, it was like a I don't know, a trading sheet.
Oh.
Okay, so your confluences was I could identify 3 push on a previous leg, 2 with 4-hour market structure, use